in your opinion, do you think there will be another Diablo game at some point in the future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
Would you think
it's too. I mean, Blizzard ultimately is a business. This franchise is too valuable to not do something with, and so just to let it rest, I think, is absurd. I mean, I can't imagine that they're not going to make another Diablo game. Whether or not it'll be like Diablo, I don't really know. I mean, they could, like I said, I think they may end up, breathing fresh air, do something that's Diablo-like, or whatever, Diablo in terms of setting and atmosphere and things like that. But the actual game itself may not end up being exactly like. I mean, they could do anything from, make it more of a, like Skyrim-esque or something like that, to who knows, whatever they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do, but they could go any direction. I don't know if necessarily they'll make another straight action RPG exactly like Diablo 2 or Diablo 3.
If you had to estimate some time frame, 5, 10, 15 years,
no way am I going to estimate time frame. There's no way.
Soon, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I can guarantee it's not soon too. That's not even an option.
So, well, if Blizzard asked to have you on board for a new Diablo project, would you want to be involved?
I've talked to them a few times about the possibility of coming back. So I think that at some point in the future that, I'd be interested in doing it again. Right now I'm working on my own stuff and I'm excited about what I'm working on and whatnot. But in the future, I think that I would like to go back to Blizzard at some point in the future and work with them again. I really enjoyed working there, and I would love to work on Diablo again, or anything really that Blizzard would be involved with. I just really like the people there. I liked working there, and I would probably, I'd be happy to go back at some point. And we've talked about it. Our paths have been like slightly misaligned every single time that we've talked about it. Like, it's great for me, great for them, back and forth or whatever, and it's never really worked out. But I suspect it'll work out in the future.
Oh, awesome. I think that'll make a lot of people happy. So I guess this sort of answers this. I was going to ask, do you actually want to see another Diablo game made, or do you want to see the series kind of end? Like, let's say, sometimes you have, be it a TV series or a game series, that goes on until it runs itself into the ground, for instance. So, like, would you rather it just end where it is, like you feel it's in a good place now, or do you really want the franchise to go on?
Oh, I really want the franchise to go on. I mean, the fact is that, any franchise goes through ups and downs. Like, you think of Final Fantasy, and it's progressed from, sprite art to like this heavy cinematic thing to an MMO to not an MMO to back to an MMO to like, it's like, and the latest one was heralded as a great game, right? So I think that they're, Final Fantasy VIII maybe not as great, or Final Fantasy IX not as good as like the latest ones and things like that. And 7 is a masterpiece, and some of them are great and some of them are not, and that's just the way that things are. But to give up on it, I think, is ridiculous. The fact is that Diablo is a great idea. It's a great setting. It's a great world, and it's really hard to come up with that kind of stuff, and to not continue the series would be terrible. Only time will tell. I have no idea. I think that Blizzard products tend to last a really long time. That said, they're constantly working on Path of Exile. They're constantly coming out with new patches. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. So, inevitably that game will last however many years it lasts, 10, 15, whatever years. And so, because of their work and desire and commitment to improving the product continually through, patches and etc., I think that they'll maintain an audience, and because they'll have a bunch of new features and stuff like that. Diablo 3, it'll probably maintain an audience just because, well, it not only is a decent game, but it's also, Blizzard is very popular, and they continue to service their games too. But there probably won't be a whole bunch more content for Diablo 3. Would be my guess. I don't know for sure, but I don't even. Maybe they're working on expansion. Maybe they aren't. I don't know. But my guess is that at some point they're going to move on to Diablo 4 or whatever that's going to be called, and kind of put that one down and then kind of move on or whatever. That doesn't mean that they'll put it down forever. They go back and they'll patch things and they'll update and put in small things, but they're not going to do something major, I think, for anything huge or whatever for Diablo 3 for the foreseeable future. I think that they had a few things or whatever, with the Necromancer and the few stuff for the Diablo 20th anniversary, but I don't know how many more big patches they're going to have.
So on that note, again, without asking you to predict a number for when a new Diablo game may release, do you feel that now that Activision's in the picture and in the current climate of video game culture and video game monetization, do you feel that Blizzard will be more pressured to not take another 10 years to make another Diablo game? Do you think
absolutely not?
So you think
there'll zero pressure?
All right.
I mean, there'll be pressure, and Blizzard will say no, and then that will be the end of the pressure. And it's hard to argue when they're making so much money on things like Overwatch, and WoW still makes a ton of money and things like that. So, I think that they're just fine, and they have proven year after year after year after year that they wait to make things and try to make them the best possible games that they can be, rather than rush them out the door. And that has always been their argument is, we will make you more money if you just wait till it's ready. And they've always listened. Now, if the people change, if Mike Morhaim's no longer in charge of Blizzard, because I don't know, he retires or whatever, and then and Kotick's no longer in charge of Activision and stuff, like, if those people start to change, the dynamics change. Can you maintain the atmosphere and dynamics if the people are not there that have behaved this way for so many years? And so I can't say it'll never happen. There may be more pressure in the future, but if things stay the same, there's no reason that they're not going to just take the time that they need to make the game that they feel will be worthy of Diablo 4. It's hard for me to tell because that's all I've ever done.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
I guess, my very first job a long time ago, was in the early 90s. Then, 1991, I didn't work for myself. But starting from 93 on, I've been my own boss pretty much.
That's true, yeah.
So.
Okay. So there's never been any pressure from publishers? Because I know there's the developer and then there's the publisher sometimes. I guess within Blizzard it's the same thing. So you never had any... at Gazillion, was there a publisher?
Mike was my boss, but he didn't really tell me what to do, right? Okay. He's saying work on the product and finish it or whatever. Yeah. There's a little bit of pressure and deadlines, but it's not like he's letting us make the decisions on the product and things like that. It was and we're working together. We consider it. It wasn't really like he was dictating orders to me and I'm doing these. Oh yes, what are we doing next on Diablo, Mike, or whatever. So that's not the way it worked at all. So and so ultimately you're answerable to somebody, no matter what level you're on. The fact is, if you're a publisher, you're most likely, answering to your shareholders or at least to your audience. And if you're like CEO of a company like I was, we had investors who don't understand anything about video games but want to make money. So they do understand money, and so you have to talk to them, and they're kind of your bosses. They technically could fire you, but really they don't know anything about video games. They want me. That's why they have me doing this, right? Because they have money. they want me to make them more money, right? You know, so they said, go make us more money. We'll give you money to make us more money. So that, you know, that and how's our money doing is really what they want to know. So that's, you know, that it's kind of being your own, you know, I'm my own boss, but you know, ultimately everybody's responsible or answerable to somebody. Even if you, like I said, you're your own publisher, then your shareholders, like, how much money are you making this quarter, kind of thing. You know, that's ultimately, you know, it's a cyclical thing. It's the audience, the shareholders, the publishers, the people with money, et cetera. It all goes round and round.